Good evening. Welcome back to IPL team tiering, where we put every team into a projected tier list based on how they performed this week. And it's probably not going to be accurate, but it's there and it's fun. This video is likely not going to be as edited as my last ones, so bear with me for the next 30 minutes or so. I do have some graphics, just so that I don't have to edit at all. If you like those graphics, just tell me in the comments. If you don't, tell me in the comments. Let's just get started, right? We'll get started with Bangalore. They actually have a really good team this year. They've done pretty well. They won against Lucknow. They lost to Delhi. Both of these matches, honestly, fairly contrasting. Both of them displayed amazing power play bowling, with Hazelwood and Rashik going well against Lucknow, while Bhuvi got to Delhi Capitals to 18 for 3 in the first 2.5 overs. Their middle overs bowling was essentially fairly similar in both matches, but they could have afforded more wickets against Delhi. Essentially, RCB were missing out on a sixth bowler. They do have Shepherd and David, but they're usually a seventh option. And they could have been a sixth option only if RCB decided to bowl them when their bowlers had momentum, not when Delhi has scored 22 in the last 2 overs and needed 15 in the final over. Shepherd could have bowled it over in the middle overs after a better power play, or they could have gone Bhuvi Kumar, Suyash Sharma, Rashik Dar, and Hazelwood for the final over. Ever since I called this middle order the best in the league, it has been doing terribly. Against Lucknow, surprisingly, they hit 78 runs and 38 deliveries, but against Delhi, they only scored 70 and 55 deliveries, which means that their game against left-arm spin is just not that good, which is kind of makes sense. I mean, it's all right-handers, but yeah. And also, that's kind of why CSK should have bowled Prashant Veer against them, but that is a topic for like two weeks ago. I don't know. And this is evidenced by the fact that they absolutely destroyed Digvesh Rathi, but when faced against Kuldeep and Aksar, the whole batting lineup only scored 50 runs in 42 balls combined, while losing 4 wickets to them. I don't really see any other concerns. Salt is actually doing pretty well. Kohli's on the orange cap board. Hazelwood, Rashik, Bhuvi, all doing fairly well. Hazelwood, despite going at 9.5 against Delhi, he only gave 4 runs in the tied 17th over, so I do still think he's pretty solid. They still have a very good team, but I would still demote them down to A tier, just because their middle order is not failure proof, as we saw against Delhi. Their spin bowling also fairly weak, which is something to consider, other than Krunal Pandya, who, contrary to popular belief, doesn't actually bowl dots. He only bowls enough for the batters to rotate the strike, and he'll take wickets, which kind of does build pressure on the opposing team, but Krunal is not a dot bowler. So Yash Sharma, Romario, Shepherd, and Tim David are their only frontline, I guess in air quotes, bowlers in the middle phase, which is kind of what let KL Rahul, Aksar Patel, and Tristan Stubbs set a good platform for Delhi Capitals to finish well in the end. Bangalore can recover as they go on to play Gujarat, I believe, and then they play Delhi, and then they play Gujarat again. I see them going 3 for 3 here, but that Delhi game could be a toss-up just because Delhi is such a good team right now, and it's an away game, so it could be a toss-up. Next, we start out with the Sunrisers. They got into the top 4 after a double win over the Band brothers, Rajasthan and Chennai. Their pace bowling has really turned around, primarily with Shakib Hussain and Nitish Kumar Reddy and Ishan Malinga. I always said that Nitish Kumar Reddy should be bowling more, and look at how much that's done for the Sunrisers, as he got 2 important wickets against CSK, and he only gave 31 runs in his 4 overs. Honestly, he should have bowled more against the Royals, but Hingye, Sakib, and Malinga were already doing well enough, so that really didn't matter for them. Their bowling also well thought out rather than just players performing once in a lifetime. They also kept it fairly simple, which, that ends up working most of the time, surprisingly. Their spin, also pretty underrated. Shivam Kumar performing exceptionally against Chennai, keeping Brevis, Safraz, and Short in check. Harsh Dubey was also in their squad earlier this season, but they dropped him in place of some pace balance. I do think he should play as their impact player ahead of Livingston. We'll talk about Livingston later. There was a lot of pressure put on the CSK team because CSK's batters weren't hitting boundaries, so they kind of got lucky there. So surprisingly, SRH's main positive in their bowling is their bowling. Their batting is still inconsistent, but they are consistently able to get totals of about 180, which has been shown to be enough. Now let's talk about Livingston. What does he even do? He's batting at 8. He's not bowling. He's had 130 plus score in his last 10 white ball innings. Against the Parle Royals in the SA20. I think he was playing for DSG, Durban Supergiants. He added on 32 in 10 deliveries against them, which honestly that's not too bad of a knock, but then that's over 10 white ball innings. That's your 130 plus score. He's taken 5 wickets as well in 10 white ball games. He did bowl in some of them, I guess. But he had a 3 for 26 against the Dubai Capitals in the ILT20. So overall, he's just not played well. I think Harsh Dubey would be a much better impact player candidate, especially because Pat Cummins is coming back and you want to save that overseas slot for him. Maybe not going to work as well, but the guy deserves to get some overs because he's captaining the team, right? I think that's really it, right? The stage was set perfectly for him to take Sunrisers above 210. They were at 180 something or 170 something. He could have easily taken them to 210, but Shivam Kumar took that roll up instead and got them up to 196, which is not too bad of a score. I think Harsh Dubey just might be a better investment as an impact player. Overall, I think this team is B tier. Maybe A tier coming after this week, but I do doubt it. I still don't think that this team is not that good. Matt Short really had mercy on them in the last yesterday, because he didn't score any boundaries. He didn't show any intent against them. And then also Praful Hinge, he went for 60 runs in his 4 overs today. They are still extremely inconsistent. Won today's match primarily because of Matt Short. I mean, not primarily because of Matt Short, but you get what I'm saying. Since it's week 3, I'm trying to project for the playoffs. I'm going to put them in B tier. Again, their bowling is mainly young Indian pacers, which is how they have achieved success in the past with Bhuvi Kumar, Basil Thampi, Khalil Ahmed. They've done that in the past, right? But I just don't see the same spark that they had with David Warner or Shikhar Dhawan or Johnny Bairstow or Kane Williamson in the top order that they had before. Again, just don't see it. Maybe A tier, maybe A tier is coming for them in the next week, but no, I really just don't see it at this point in time. Just my own personal concerns. They are up against harder teams, being Delhi away, Rajasthan, and Mumbai. Delhi at home, Rajasthan, and Mumbai away. Sorry. I only see one real win here being Mumbai, but that Delhi game could really go either way. We're going to move on. We have the Delhi Capitals next. They bounced back well after 2 losses with an emphatic win over RCB. I guess the week off did actually help them very well. The middle overs bowling and death overs bowling did amazingly, with their middle overs bowling taking 4 wickets while going at 8.9, and their death overs bowling taking 3 extremely valuable wickets and only going at 6.8. Their power play bowling wasn't at their best though, which was a concern at the start of the season. Bhuvi Kumar stopped Patum Nisanka and Rizvi's form pretty quickly in this game, and also took the wicket of Carter Nair. Their number 3 position is probably a huge concern for them. I should have added it into my quick notes. Kind of similar to RCB, but I still do think that they're missing out on Abhishek Purell. Yes, all of these top 4 players are slow starters if you play with Abhishek Purell, but Nissanka and Purell can clearly play as the accelerator if required. We saw Nissanka as the accelerator in the past 3 matches, with 44 off of 30 helping out Rizvi from the other end against Mumbai, 41 off of 24 against Gujarat, and 41 off of 24 against CSK as well. However, with those 3 quick power play wickets and Stubbs' extremely slow batting, DC had to take the match to the death, where Miller was able to score enough runs in the final over this time. And honestly, it would be criminal if I didn't mention KL Rahul's 50 against them. I still do think he's an orange cap contender, but it may not fit Delhi's plans for him to be an orange cap contender because they do want him to play a little faster and accelerate more in the power play, kind of like what Sanju Samson and Ruturaj Gaikwad should be doing for CSK. It doesn't really fit their role. Oxer bowled well, and he did bat well, and he did bat well, what am I saying? But his captaincy was kind of unorthodox, to be honest, which is kind of why RCB were able to get to 175 instead of being limited to around 150 to 160. And this would, honestly, it should set a positive tone for Delhi for the rest of the season. Plus, with all these players being extremely highly rated, I do believe that Delhi truly deserves a tier, at least probably below RCB. Not S, just because they do have some things to work on, like slow batting, power play bowling, but A tier. They are up against difficult teams. Let's see who they're up against. They're up against Sunrisers away, Punjab at home, and RCB at home in their next 3 matches. This match should honestly give them some confidence, though. I think they can move on, at least try to get to the playoffs. They have a much better mentality now. Chennai is next. They bounced back from 2 consecutive wins with a loss to the Sunrisers. Their week started off well with an amazing win over KKR, but the chases are just too much for them, I assume. Their win against KKR was fairly easy, with Matre, Brevis, and Samson all scoring fairly well. But there is a huge problem here, and it's the fact that they can't finish, which is something that stood consistent in the Sunrisers game as well. In these matches, CSK scored at a rate of 12.3 in the power play. So CSK's batting in the power play and middle and death. Their run rate here, this is the run rate in the power play. It's 12.3. Then they go to 8.2 in the middle, and then they go down to 8.1 in the death, or 8.13 to be exact. But it is 8.1 regardless. And these are their wickets lost. See, this is another problem. They're losing too many wickets in the power play. We'll talk about that later, though. I also want to finish here. Yes, it is a small difference from the death to the middle, but you usually do want to be scoring. If you're scoring at 8 in the middle, you want to be scoring at maybe 11 or 10 in the death. They also don't lose wickets in the middle, which is very impressive for them. But again, they still did slow down in the middle, which is kind of not what you want, right? You don't want to slow down in the middle either. You want to at least keep some of the momentum. If you're going at 12 in the power play, maybe go at 10 in the middle instead of 8. They also did slow down, but that was mostly due to Matt Short not releasing any pressure at all on the other end. Their wickets in the power play, that's another huge problem. You would like to have a set scoring batter right out of the power play, but that hardly ever happens for CSK. Usually Samson, Rutaraj, and or Matre are gone right in the power play or right after the power play, which is really bad because then Brevis comes in against spin and he needs more time because he is a better batter against pace than he is against spin. Also, if Rutaraj isn't believing in himself and is believing more in freaking Ayush Matre, an injured one-legged Ayush Matre, more than himself, then maybe he shouldn't be batting in the power play. Finally, the Matt Short discussion. There's a lot of things. I'm jumping around a lot, but the Matt Short discussion. Here's one that I will be focusing on. Without him, CSK probably could have easily won this match. Even if they just had 10 players, they probably could have won this match. They probably could have restricted SRH to under 180 and could have chased this down in under 18 overs. Matt Short was the only net negative bowler in this match, and yes, I do get playing him over Akil Hussain due to SRH's left-handed top 3, but at some point it shouldn't matter because Matt Short is not an actual bowler. He's just a part-timer. Mukesh Chowdhury also did do okay. He did get smacked a little bit. He got 1 wicket off of full toss. But, that's still better than Matt Short. Overton, Kamboj, and Noor, and Gurjapneet all been pretty solid. Akil Hussain is the only improvement that this team needs. I'm going to say that CSK is overall B tier. I think C tier is coming. If they mess up with the 11 even more, then C tier is definitely possible. B tier is kind of where I want to put them for now. They are up against easier teams this season. They are up against MI, GT, and MI again. But both these matches can get close, especially if Ayush Matre's injury is real bad. Mumbai is next. They've only won 1 match this season against bottom dwellers KKR, but this week they faced Punjab and lost by 7 wickets. This match was always going to be lost, even since the start of the season, but there are some steps that could have been taken to avoid losing this match. I think they did a great job by promoting Deer to 4 and playing with Dekok and playing Tilak at 6, but part of me wonders whether that's because of the right-left combo or because Deer is actually a better fit at 4 compared to Tilak Verma. Tilak has been doing excellently as a finisher, and it's kind of stupid that he's batting at 3 or 4 all the time. He seems more valuable when he scores runs at the death. Pandya was also promoted ahead of Rutherford for the right-left combination, which is stupid. Yes, the right-left combination is a real thing, but it's like the same thing with Akil Hussain and CSK, right? Like, at this level, it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't influence your decision-making as much, especially if you're batting with the set batter at the other end. Rutherford probably could have done more than Pandya in those 12 deliveries. I also still stand by that statement that 195 could have been enough on this pitch, but the power play bowlers did not do enough to limit Punjab. Ghazanfar did really well to spin a web around this team, but Bumrah and Chahar could have done way more. I believe that MI is putting a lot of pressure on Bumrah to take wickets because if you look at the way he bowled against Punjab, it was definitely not his usual style. He's trying out different deliveries, pressured to take wickets, while he's still generally being net positive by bowling at an economy rate less of the required run rate or the current run rate. Ashwin also made this point pretty recently. If you're bowling less than the current run rate or less than the required run rate, depending on like whether you're batting or whether you're chasing for batting first or batting second, you're still being net positive. He like if he's not taking wickets, he's usually still net positive. He's at least disrupting the batters, which is kind of like if you look at it from a batting perspective, you have someone like Rajat Patidar. Usually when the spin is coming on, it's coming on like very well, and when he's coming in for RCB, they're usually struggling against spin. But he's able to just disrupt them by hitting a couple of fours and over, maybe not even a couple of fours and over, maybe a boundary and over. And he's doing that. He's disrupting the spin. He's disrupting the momentum of the bowlers. But the bowling wise, in this case, bowling wise, similarly, it would be Bumrah, because Bumrah is bowling dots to the batters while they're hitting boundaries, and that stops the batters' momentum. I hope I'm making sense. This is like not rehearsed at all. I hope this makes sense. So Bumrah is generally being net positive even when he's not taking wickets. MI's fast bowlers in general probably could have bowled more into the batters at a fuller length, and also just try to have good team chemistry, at least for the cameras. Don't like yell at each other on screen. This team also has some amazing players on paper, but they just aren't working well together. The CSK match probably could be an okay comeback, but I still think CSK has the upper hand here. GT and SRH probably going to be a lot more difficult. I think overall C tier. That's where I'm going to put them. Gujarat, though, they have 3 wins on the trot with 2 wins this week against Lucknow and KKR. They only lost to top teams thus far, being Rajasthan and Punjab. They've been playing technically correct cricket, or in other words, boring cricket. Out of all the teams, I found myself sleeping in Gujarat's matches the most. Once for them, 0 times for all of the other teams combined. Their pace bowling has been amazing, and I found that Gill's captaincy has really helped their strengths, and it's just like he's just playing to their own strengths rather than molding them into the way he wants to play them. They hit hard legs constantly and bowl correctly to the field. Siraj, Rabada, Krishna, and Ashok Sharma all prefer to hit hard legs and bowl quicker into the batters, which has worked fairly well for them. Rashid has been okay, but I would like to see more of Sai Kishore. I feel like he will be instrumental in their eventual games against CSK. Their batting has also been technically correct, scoring runs at a proper rate while being set, not really doing anything too extravagant. That's a positive for the top order, but for their middle, it's kind of a weakness. Washington Sundar has been pretty good at 4. Phillips, Tawatia, and Rashid Khan, or Shah Rukh Khan, all have to get their eyes in and actually finish a match, just in case the top order does eventually collapse. Shubman Gill is in great form, Sai is in okay form, Butler has been solid. Overall, I want to put them in B tier, but the way their middle orders and their death overs batting are functioning just like genuinely make me want to like rip into them and put them in C tier. I'm not sure where I want to put them. This is kind of make me think. Hold on. They do have like a really good top 4, a really good like relatively quick scoring batters at the top. I think Gill is striking at 155. Butler striking at 160. Sai Sudarshan is striking at 147. Weakest of the 3, he's only averaging 27 this season. But again, we all know how good he is. I think he also has to get his eye in, but he is still playing technically correct. I think A or B tier for this team is fair. I'm going to put them in a high B tier, definitely above the Sunrisers. They are playing, I think, who are they playing? I think they're playing against MI at home and then at RCB and at CSK. RCB can definitely restrict them in the power play. CSK against Gujarat's Prasidh and Ashok Sharma will be nice to watch. And MI is probably not that hard of a competition. Again, I think high B tier is fair for this team. We're going to move on. We're going to move on to Rajasthan. Rajasthan actually, they've gone almost exactly how I said they would. I said that they usually fall off after winning like a bunch of matches at the start. and they lost to Sunrisers and KKR this week and aren't looking so formidable right now. Their top order in the game against SRH was absolutely rattled, being 9 for 5 at this point, but Ferreira and Jadeja did save them from humiliation. But the middle order was still a huge weakness. In the KKR game, when Suryavanshi got out, the score was 81 for 1 in 8.4. In this position, I think a score of around 200 to 210 is fair, right? Nope, they ended up scoring 74 runs in the next 12.2 at a run rate of 6.0, contrasting from 9.0 in the first 8.4. This is what I meant when I said that Rajasthan's middle order cannot be relied on. Obviously, there was no winning the Sunrisers game, but at least the KKR one should have been winnable, right? Their bowling was okay in both of these games, but they failed to capitalize on momentum when they had it against the Sunrisers. Archer got wickets in the power play, and you would think that Hen would be gone quick as well, right? But that didn't happen. They were a bit better against KKR, having them at 85 for 6 at one point, but again, they let Rinku and Anukul Roy put pressure back on them by bowling over-pitch deliveries, which ended up costing them the game. I think that Punja or Brijesh should be dropped in favor of Deshpande because he himself is a rhythm bowler, which will pair well with both Archer and Andre Berger. I do still think that the bowling is not the thing that they should focus on, though. It's just the middle order that has to step up. Maybe bringing in Shanaka ahead of Hetmeyer and maybe Dubey for a couple of games could work as well. I'm not sure where exactly to place them, but they are up against Lucknow, Sunrisers, and Punjab in their next matches. I do think the Lucknow match is definitely winnable, but the Sunrisers match will have to take some elite comeback mentality. Right now, I want to put them in B tier. Look how they followed. They were S tier like just a couple of weeks ago. I think they're above CSK. I doubt they're above the Sunrisers though. Actually, probably above the Sunrisers. I'm not sure. I think I'm going to put them up below the Sunrisers just because I don't feel that their team composition is that good right now. Kolkata played 3 games this week and lost to Chennai and Gujarat, but they did end up winning their first win against the Royals today. Their bowling has significantly improved, with Varun being back to his normal form, taking 2 for 34 against the Titans, 3 for 14 against the Royals. Narayan has also been alright in these 4 games with figures of 1 for 13, 1 for 21, 1 for 28, and 2 for 26. Safe to say that their spin is back to the level that it should be at. Anukul Roy isn't too much of a concern for me, but I do think he should be bowling more instead of Cam Green and Ramandeep Singh. Their pace has also improved with Kartik Tyagi troubling every team, but Vaibhav Arora is still leaking runs, and they do need to find a third pacer who is better than Cam Green. Despite all of this, it's still an improvement. But their batting has worsened. While Rahane did have a great start to the season, his performance in the last week has been lackluster. He got 28 off 22 against Chennai, but then he failed to score in the next 2 games. Seifert was also brought in for Finn Allen, and that really didn't change much. However, Cam Green, Rahman Powell, and Rinku Singh have all gone bad on ball in these last week, and Green definitively, he looks to be back. Rinku, he did score against the Royals. He scored that 53 not out. He won them the game, and I think he just really needs to focus on taking it slowly and have someone at the other end accelerate instead of getting caught up in it. In this game, he had Anukul Roy on the other end, which helped him out a lot. If their top order can fire at the same time as their middle order, there's really not much stopping them. I'm going to put them in C tier for now. I'm not really sure where else they should go. They do seem somewhat inconsistent, but the next game is against LSG. That could be good for them. The 2 after that, Sunrisers and Delhi, it's going to be fairly difficult, but again, it can be good for them. Punjab is the next team. They're still rolling on their unbeaten run. They won against Mumbai and Lucknow, both fairly convincingly. There's really not much for concern here at all. Arshdeep and Jensen did find their form in the last couple of matches. Vaishak has still been great for them. The top 6 look pretty solid, other than Nehal Wadera, who can afford to come in a bit earlier. But again, there's really not much you can do when freaking Priya Acharya, Cooper Connolly, and Prabhsimran Singh are all batting like that, right? Their spin is kind of lackluster. They do only have Yuzvendra Chahal, but Vaishak has stepped into a role of kind of being a spinner. He's read his pace really well, and he's kind of become like a slower ball expert. He's controlled himself very well as well, and that's something that hasn't come up in his career yet, and I think he's just like doing really, really well for Punjab. I think he's a very underrated part of this team. I think this team does deserve like this is one of the teams that does deserve S tier just because no team has ever gone unbeaten like in their first like I don't think they've no team has ever won 6 games in a row or at the start of an IPL season. Is that I guess they did have a no result. No team has ever done that. No team has ever been unbeaten for this long. They are kind of missing out on a sixth bowler, but Shashank's golden arm has done well enough for them. They don't really look unbeatable, but there's a chance in their next games against Delhi, Rajasthan, and GT, especially because they're playing 2 away games. Or actually, especially because they're playing at home, because, when it's the away game, iron always comes up. So, yeah, we're going to go Lucknow next. They're kind of the least. I don't know, last, kind of the least. They lost to Bangalore and Punjab this week. Didn't really have much of a competition in either of those matches. Their batting was ruined when they were 118 for 5 in the final over, or 118 for 5 in the 16th over against Bangalore, even though Banoni and Chowdhury did try to score well. Speaking of Banoni, he's been playing very well for Lucknow. He just has to convert for them. I think he's their most valuable asset in their batting lineup right now, and they do have to teach him to be in control throughout the whole match. Also, Digvesh Rathi didn't play against Punjab for some reason. He's a much better container of runs than someone like Mohsin Khan or even Manimaran Siddharth, and probably could have saved some net run rate points in this game. Prince Yadav is also someone to keep in mind though. 6.25 on this pitch is not that easy. He really just stuck to plans, and I guess that's what's been helping him throughout his whole career, so he's just done it again. Batting wise, I don't think they were too bad. I would say Marsh probably should accelerate more, but there's not much to say, right? 200 isn't too bad in the pursuit of 255. If they can back their youngers, then I would believe it's a B tier team, but for now, they're kind of C tier. They do have a good chance for a comeback against Rajasthan, Kolkata, and Mumbai, but I still think that all 3 teams have the upper hand here, at least on paper. C tier, right? That's what I said? I think they're above K. No, I think they're below KKR. I don't know. I always thought they were the worst team in the tournament. That's it. Bye.